Good evening. I'm Larry McNair, and
Uh, I'm
it's
Larry
storming
McNair,
outside,
and
and I'm trying to
I'm
turn the sound down.
Larry McNair, and
Volume.
Excuse
Volume.
me a minute.
74. Volume. Volume.
Excuse me a minute.
74.
I just want to make sure that I am live streaming. I hope there's not any problems with it at all. So far, it looks like it's doing pretty good. And I'm trying to turn the TV off. Uh, so bear with me if you may. We're having a terrible storm uh, out where I am right now, and believe me, the trees were rocking and rolling, and excuse me, it was pouring down rain and lightning and thundering. And I said all that to say this. I was preparing to read it from my wife's tablet here, and I'm not able to do that now because of the storm. It's somehow or another it's not working. So I'm gonna have to ad lib what I'm doing tonight. But I've done that many times, and I'm sure that I will get through this. And so, what have I been doing since the last time we seen each other? Well, uh, I picked up a new hobby, and I'm just going to talk about it for just a few seconds. Uh, I'm sure you guys have heard of Uber. Yes, I'm an Uber driver, and I have been for a few days. And some of my passengers I never found, and that was very embarrassing. Uh, but the ones I did, I've made some pretty good money. I'm not ashamed of the money that I have made. So I'm looking forward to continue being an Uber driver, and enough said. Also, I've been working in my yard. I've been piddling around the house. Uh, I've been going back and forth with my wife to see her uncle, which is in therapy now, and so things are going on that we have to do, like every family has, and we have some of the same issues. Uh, a drill instructor's journey. This series of televised uh, portions of this, what I'm trying to say, it's a continuation of the series. And tonight I'm going to talk to you about discipline. Uh, Discipline uh, is got to be the number one thing uh, that you try, or that you will, or that you must have in a unit. And it doesn't matter if it's you're working at Kmart, Walmart. Uh, it don't matter where you're working. Uh, there's got to be some discipline in the structure, or there would be total chaos. And that's the same thing with a drill instructor's journey. Me being a drill instructor, doing my job, training recruits to be basic Marines. I use the word basic Marines, and discipline is our number one goal. But the number one tool that the Marine Corps uses for discipline is drill. Now, that may sound a little bit weird to some of y'all, but drill has a lot of moving parts. And once they learn to put those parts together, you start seeing the discipline that you are building in these young men or young women. And so drill is the basic thing that the Marine Corps uses to achieve to achieve discipline. And discipline should go throughout your entire life. You must have a disciplined structure to continue, as I said, your entire life. Like mine, I'm retired, but I still got to show some form of discipline. You know, I can't act stupid or immature or anything like that. So discipline, I try to keep it my number one thing that I maintain. And I think I'm doing a pretty good job of doing so. And that integrity that comes along with discipline, oh man, it's a beautiful thing to see happen. You take these raw men that have no discipline whatsoever, and you are going to mold them into a unit. And that doesn't happen overnight. Marine Corps recruit training, when I was a drill instructor, was 3 phases. First phase was a lot of things happening in first phase. But first phase, what you teach them in first phase continues on through second and third phase. If you don't have that discipline by the end of first phase, you're going to have a problem with that platoon. So first phase is very important. I enjoyed first phase. I enjoyed the challenge of molding these young men into basic Marines, see them change, and some of them have never used the SIR word, but they learned that right away. And they find out that the littlest thing that they do that is not correct, they are receive some type of correction. Now, discipline comes in many different forms. It may be talking to a person. It may be giving a person physical exercise, and that's what I like right there. The Marine Corps teaches or uses a form of PT to discipline a recruit, and it works very well. We used to, I know that you can't see the picture, but you would have 60 men, and we called it the pit, and they would be in that pit, and they would be doing side straddle hops and jumping jacks and running in place and on your back, on your face. It was just going wild, and it wore these young people out, and it was a purpose. It wasn't to mistreat them. It was to gain their attention and have them learn that there's no me anymore. It is no I anymore. It is a team, and they must act as a team. So first phase was very, very important. And then we went into second phase, and The second phase of training was, in my day, was the rifle range. And the rifle range lasted for 2 weeks. And some of these men have never held a rifle in their life. And they are taught how to shoot that rifle. And the first week is snapping in. It's dry fire. They just aim at a target, a little bullseye on a drum, and they pull the trigger. And they're learning how to sight in, sight picture, sight alignment, and things that go along with shooting. The second week, it starts very, very early in the morning, 04:30. They're up. They're on their way to chow by 4:45, 05:45. They have chow, and then we're marching to the range. It may be dark as we go into the range, but we're preparing for the first round to go down range. And that first sight of daylight, man, it starts. They start shooting. And they shoot the 200-yard line, the 300-yard line, and the 500-yard line. And with the right discipline, it takes discipline to shoot that rifle. They must maintain that discipline. That's self-discipline. It's not a tame discipline. It is self-discipline. And then in my day, after the rifle range, they went on mess duty. And that was not a fun thing for the recruits, but because they worked very, very hard. And it was long days. It was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and at 4:30 they were in the mess hall, and they were repairing everything ready to go by 0500, because that first platoon is marching in for chow. And it's 3 meals: breakfast, dinner, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And after each meal, they clean the chow hall. It's a never-ending job. These young men have got to show discipline to make it through the mess duty. They're tired, but discipline is what keeps them going. After they have spent their week on mess duty, we're on our way up to infantry training, ITR, and at San Diego, we had a mountain. I'm not going to tell you what we called that mountain, but it wasn't a nice name, and it wore the men out climbing that mountain. And then we stayed out bivouac for a few days. And then we went back to San Diego, and third phase started. Third phase, you had fitting of uniforms, making sure the uniforms were right. You had final drill. You had final inspection. Oh boy, that was a blast. The drill instructors dreaded that part of third phase. I don't like to say it, but I think it's the truth. They always found something wrong with a private. Their shoes were not shiny enough. Their rifle was not clean. Their feet were not at a 45-degree angle. They were nervous. They were. Well, yes, they were nervous. They never had a lieutenant colonel appear in front of them, or captain or major. So it was stressful. So we drill instructors, we knew what was happening, and but we accepted it. We went along. We finished third phase. The recruits graduated a basic Marine, and we started all over again. Uh, it wasn't. It was not uncommon for a drill instructor to have a third phase platoon on the first floor and a first phase platoon on the third floor. That's right. Training two different platoons at the same time. Being a drill instructor is not easy. It takes discipline. And it takes teamwork between those drill instructors. Communication. Communication is very important. And so they've got to work together to get the job done. And you've got to remember, it's three men that have different thoughts, different ways, but those three men learn to act as a team and do what they need to do to train these recruits to be basic Marines. You have the senior drill instructor, and he has two aides, two drill instructors, or he may have three. And then it just starts all over. But if you're lucky, you get a 10-day break between the next platoon, and it starts all over again. Well, tonight, I want to read a little bit from my book, A Drill Instructor's Journey. One of my platoons that I trained at San Diego was 3057. It was probably one of my best platoons. I'm not saying I never had a bad platoon, but there was things that about 3057 that I will never ever forget. I never seen men work together. I mean, these were like well-oiled machines, and what could be won in first phase, they took it. What could be won in second phase, they took it. What could be won in third phase, they took it. And I was very, very proud of 3057. And if I may please, I will read just a little bit of the first or second paragraphs, so you will have an idea of the platoon. I just want you to hear some of the book, so I'm hoping that it will motivate you enough to buy the book. Senior drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Larry McNair, is picking up platoon 3057 today. He has two drill instructors on his team. Senior drill instructor will be called the SDI. The drill instructors will be called DIs. They are ready to go to work and standing by in the duty hut. The receiving drill instructor has set the recruits on the quarterdeck. The quarterdeck is a place in the barracks where all the recruits throughout training gathered to have a class, and they were waiting on the quarterdeck. They're waiting with their hands on. They're sitting. I'm sorry. They are sitting with their hands on their knees. Their backs are straight, and their eyes are straight ahead. When the receiving drill instructor leaves, three march out. They halt and face. Senior drill instructor Staff Sergeant McNair introduces himself and his two drill instructors. He gives the recruits the same speech all drill instructor gives their platoons. He told them what to see. He told him he wanted to see all 80 of the. Yes, there was 80 men in that platoon. 80 of them on graduation day. The, excuse me. The training would not be easy. My two drill instructors only knew one way to train you, and that is hard. Drill instructors train these recruits to the best of their ability. And that is when all heck breaks loose. They had never seen 3 men in their life that is doing what they are doing right now. They were in that quarterdeck, sitting side by side, near about back to chest, whatever, and they're having to get up and they're having to rush and to get back online and where they belong, and it's just chaos. And the first day of training, I believe, is the hardest day that these recruits will go through. And the drill instructors are yelling, and porthole windows are shaking. Get your blank online. Move! The recruits have begun moving like chickens with their heads cut off. This was going to be the worst day of their lives. Drill instructors were throwing sea bags everywhere. Foot lockers were being tossed in the middle of the squad bay. Drill instructors kept bouncing from recruit to recruit. Recruits were running to the end of the squad bay and returning. You could smell the recruits. Oh man, believe me, that is a smell that I will never, ever forget. Now, there's one story in here that is totally imagination. And I call this story Sergeant Wright. And let me see if I can find that, if I could, please. Sergeant Wright. I'd like to read a little bit of Sergeant Wright for you. My wife says that this is one of her favorite stories, and this story is totally false. It's my imagination, but what I am about to read to you, some drill instructors reported at the rifle range that they did not feel comfortable. That never happened for me. But I have heard drill instructors talk about it. It is 0400, and I was on my way to the rifle range. I was still exhausted and half asleep. I would have duty tonight, another boring night at the range. By the way, my name is Staff Sergeant Jeffrey Jones. I am senior drill instructor with 2nd Battalion, Fox Company, MCRD, Paris Island. I had been making this ride for over 1 year. I kept my eyes on the road, which seemed to be getting smaller. Then all of a sudden, there was a drill instructor walking alongside the road. I pulled over and picked him up. He thanked me as he got in and shut the car door. He introduced himself to me saying, "I am drill instructor Sergeant Wright." We started talking, and I noticed something strange about him. His uniform was a different era. I asked him about his uniform, but he said he would get off here. That was the end of the conversation. I pulled over and stopped, and he thanked me for the ride. I pulled off and looked back in my rear view mirror, and it was as if he had disappeared. I stopped my car and got out. Where had he gone? Now, that story is totally false. But I think it is a fun story. I enjoyed writing that story. And after my career as a drill instructor, as an active duty Marine, I joined the ranks of a junior ROTC instructor. And I taught at Kubasaki High School. Salem High School was in Conyers, Georgia. I taught at Lithonia High School in Lithonia, Georgia. And then I went to Kubasaki High School, which is on Okinawa, Japan, Camp Foster. I taught there for 12 years. And it was fun. Working with high school students, there's never a boring moment. And you are doing the same thing. A class comes in, 30, 40 students. They all are different. Some have been in ROTC for maybe the second, third years, so that not many of that class, but they were used to what was going to be happening, and they were the leaders of that class. But the new, they had no idea. Just like Marine recruits, they had no idea what was going on. And again, we taught them discipline. We taught them a lifestyle. The Marine Corps is a lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying these young people were in the Marine Corps. No way were they Marines. But once they got trained and they started learning to wear that uniform, you could not tell the difference between them and an active duty Marine, with the exception of the patch that they wore on their left sleeve. They wore that uniform with pride. And I still have fond memories of them, and I will always have those memories. And some of them I am still in touch with. I would love to see them, but if that happens, it will be the good Lord that took care of that. I would enjoy seeing the young people that I taught, and believe me, they taught me. I learned from them too. You wouldn't believe the love they showed you. They were starving for affection. And anyway, I gave it as good as I could. And I respect them. And I love them. If that sounds corny, I'm sorry, but it's a fact. And I love them. And today when I talk to them on Facebook, I enjoy the little blurps that we have to say. Sayings like, I used to tell them, dirt's dirty, water's wet, grass is green, and other silly things like that. And today they repeat those things back to me. They have not forgot them. And I know that if I was to see one on the street, I would recognize him or her. Because they're here. And they're here. This book, A Drill Instructor's Journey. It is 15 short stories. 11 of them are true. It's a memoir of my days as a drill instructor at San Diego and Parris Island. And they are false because I could not use people's names. But if I had got permission to use their names, it would be a total truth. But no, the book had to be called false and at the same time a memoir. So, again, this book can be purchased at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any bookstore online, and any bookstore in your local town. This book is print on demand. So if you go in the store and you purchase this book out in town, they will have to order the book, you pay for it, and then they will tell you when to come pick it up. But at Amazon and Barnes and Noble and the bookstores online, they usually, when you sign off at that and purchase it, usually the next day the book is on its way. So again, it's been a privilege and an honor talking to you. I have been running my mouth quite a bit, and I've enjoyed it, and I hope you join me next Monday when we will start all over again. So you're going to see me stand up. I'm going to go over and stop my camera and sign off. But it has been a privilege and an honor talking to you tonight.